Hello and welcome to episode 21 of the Swimrun Show podcast. I'm Mike, by the way. I always forget to introduce myself. We've got some special guests this week. Bill and Chrissy Lankford, super experienced swimrun team, possibly the most experienced swimrun team in the UK, based on the number of races they've done together. And they've done some big ones too, which you'll hear about soon. So it was great to chat to Bill and Chrissy. They'll be at Studland this weekend. I'll be at Clanberis. And Uto was awesome, by the way. That was on Saturday in Sweden. And I'll have a full debrief probably next week with a special guest, another special guest. Bill and Chrissy were at Neen Park as Keen as Mustard events in the UK. So yeah, it's all happening. You know, this is Swimrun. Get involved. Gear chat. We've got a bit of gear chat in the episode, so I'm not going to add anything at the moment. So here we go. Let's just crack on with Bill and Chrissy down in Cambridge. Here we go. Okay, so we have Bill and Christina Lankford, a team, very experienced team. How are you guys doing down there?
Hi, Mike. We're very well, actually. Yeah. We've started our season already, so we came to see you in Liverpool for the Eliminator.
Yeah.
We've done a coaching session with Keen as Mustard. We've done the Neen Valley race, and we've got Studland coming up. So
you're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you guys have done an amazing amount of swimrun races over the years, and but just on this season so far, how was obviously I saw you at the Eliminates, which was great to see. And but how was Neen Valley? Neen Park.
Yeah, it was good. It was. I mean, we've done the event several times before, but it was a new course, so it was really it was nice. But of course, in your head, you're thinking, hang on, we don't normally go this way. So it was a real, it really was a heads up race, because there were bits where you're sort of thinking, oh, we normally go straight on here, and you're like, actually, no, we don't. We go so it just goes. So you could be experienced, but you could still go wrong. And poor old Bill had a bit of a we were busy telling our sort of Cambridge triathlete compatriots all the mantras before you get in and do anything, and Bill said, make sure you got your goggles, your hat, wetsuit done up, get in. He didn't do any of those on the first swim.
Yeah.
So that was a sort of mildly hilarious moment after 4.5K running, that he wasn't ready.
I'd forgotten that I'd neatly packed away the tether and tied it in a nice little knot.
Yeah.
And I put it in a pouch I normally put a GoPro in.
Right.
And we got to the first swim, and I expected it to spring out of this pouch and be all ready to go. And of course, it was knotted, and I couldn't unknot it properly. So I've got that stress. And I didn't do my wetsuit up properly. Made half a job with the tether, started to go, and then the wetsuit began to come undone, and it ballooned out with water.
God.
He looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy, and I wondered, well, what's he doing? And then I could just see him like expanding, ahead of me. I thought, what the hell's wrong with him? And then of course it transpired his wetsuit was completely undone by that point.
So I doggy paddled to the bank so I could squeeze the water out.
Right. God.
And start again. So we actually started the swim at the back.
Right.
I think we had a canoeist making sure we were all right, which was very kind of them. But of course, it was like, oh, crikey, this isn't our first rodeo. We shouldn't be doing this. But anyway. So it goes to show.
As Chrissy said, though, is a bit heads up, because it's a new course, and we managed to get onto the podium primarily because a couple of people made some mistakes in front, and we were close enough. We could capitalise on those
Brilliant.
Navigation errors.
Yeah. Well done. So that's good to see. So where were you on the podium?
We're still third.
We're third.
And that was the long one.
That's the long one. Yeah, 21K. Yeah,
brilliant. Well done. Yeah, you covered a lot there with the old the gear, and it's definitely for the teams. Have you always raced in a team?
Yeah, we have, because when we first started in 2016, it was only team events. So the very first race we did was the Isles of Scilly.
Yeah.
And it was only long course. So it was like the 30 odd K, and it was only team. and so we haven't really done anything separately. I'm not sure I'd want to. Doing the eliminator felt a bit odd, because we weren't, But you're so used to sort of having.
We run a lot of that together. Actually.
We did sort of
psychologically. We did a lot of your eliminator together. You can't
help it. It's a sort of security sort of blanket thing, but always a team, and always whatever the longest distance is. So
that's brilliant. Because I've learned now that there is so much, having now raced a long one and solo, there is so much more race strategy, a bit of kit admin as well, with the teams. It's more of so is it more of an intelligent sport? There's more to it racing in a team, I think. Anyway, and there's having now done USO solo, I'm starting to think there's some races I'd definitely prefer to do team, and some possibly prefer to do solo. But anyway, so heads up racing, that's good, and well done on the podium, of course.
Thank you.
And the eliminator, well done on that. You was it lap 4? I can't remember now. Was it you? You were like a second off lap 5, weren't you, Bill?
Yeah,
I know, Mike. What I've got to say, I mean, I was a second off.
How mean?
However,
what are the rules?
I mean, for anyone who's not done that type of event or not seen it, I mean, I had to really motor to make that 1 second. And what's really sweet about the design of the event is you hear the crowd starting to get excited as the clock's coming down.
Yeah.
So I'm about 300-400 meters out, and you begin to hear the crescendo of the cheering as the people have got like a minute to go, and they're clapping them in and shouting. So I did pick up the pace, Mike, and to be honest, I obviously I'd have gone again, but I would have been absolutely on the wire, So I had mixed feelings about missing out by a second.
Right.
It would have been a grim next lap.
And I think I got as far as the bridge, just got onto the bridge, and then I was sort of stopped, but obviously I didn't make the cut there, but it was quite interesting because setting off, I mean I was at the back with Helen, and so we did the first run, and as we came to get to the first swim, people were doing that nice clap as if to say, "Oh, you're doing really well, come on," and I'm thinking, "Oh, I'm never going to make this." And you get in the water, and this is the beauty of this sport, is that both of us were last, but we overtook people on that first swim, and then they overtook us again on the run. And then on that last 300 swim, we ended up being like, third and fourth. So, and I would never have thought there'd have been time enough on the swims to catch anybody. So you should never give up.
No,
absolutely never give up.
Yeah.
So I think that's a real, and I know we do lots of racing, but of course it's a real reminder that it's not over till it's over, and you just got to keep going.
Yeah.
But it was just that the sort of sympathy clap. Oh, come on, you're doing so well, you're gonna make it, and you're like, and then of course you just somehow you pull something out of the bag, and you can can get through it. So but the crowd were great. It was brilliant having. Everyone was like, it was like a real cauldron of
excitement
of people. It was great. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It wasn't like the normal stress you have when the course is like over a big distance, and it was really nice and fun. But that second swim's actually it's a bit. I didn't tell the runners, but it's more like 320. It's definitely more than 300 meters. There's as you were saying there, Christina, like there's a few runners there, not so good on the swim. So I think it was nice that there was enough swimming for the swimmers to kind of make some distance up, for sure.
I think that was all about the sighting there, because you had that massive orange buoy you could see right at the end where the exit was. And I think if you focused on that, but there were people going all over the place.
Yeah.
And, you know, and like taking wide lefts or wide right. And I think that made a big difference. Just sort of saying, right, that's where I'm going. And you just go straight through it. And I think, you know, I think that was how Helen and I managed to, you know, get further up, because people just scattered left and right, you know, so.
Yeah.
It's
definitely.
a great format anyway.
Yeah,
I mean,
really
you know, we'd come back next year for sure, Mike.
And the peril of coming out of that slipway.
Yeah.
I mean, I had my Viva barefoots on, and I hadn't worn them for ages. And I thought, I'm not sure I'm going to get up here on these. And then, so the first time I used the rope, and then second time I thought, no. And I could I could just run straight up, you know. And it was, and they were so good. So it's always, you know, have some faith in your kit as well. Yeah. Is the other thing.
Yeah.
But that was,
I was tempted. Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, I was tempted not to pull the rope down, because the rope always, people focus on it, and it sometimes makes it slower because everyone's focused on the rope, pull the rope, you know, and then your feet sometimes slip because you're kind of off balance. But anyway, it's all good fun. It's all good fun.
Yeah. I think it's human nature it's this thing, is your human nature. You sort of follow the person in front of you. So everybody was waiting for the rope on the first.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And after that, you're like, actually, I don't need that. But it was no, that was really. I mean, that was like sort of, you know, coming out after like the 300 swim. That was murderous, getting up there, you know, trying to. But anyway, it was good. It was really good. Yeah, really good.
Well, I hope I'll make plans for next year. I'm trying to plan one end of season, actually, another eliminator this year, but we'll see how that goes. And you've got Studland this weekend, a debut event down there. What's the forecast?
Yeah, because we saw David at Roseland last year, and he said, "Oh, you know, he's going to, you know, put an event on." And crikey, I mean, it's just totally sold out. I mean, how amazing! I
know, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it does look like it's going to be windy and and maybe a bit wet, Mike, but which is a bit depressing for mid-June. But you know, I think we've dealt with worse. So.
I'm sure you have. Yeah.
I think the weather element doesn't really bother me. It's the fact that it's hilly. Because we're in Cambridge and we just don't have any.
Good point.
We've got a 50-metre incline we practice on, and that's it.
Yeah.
So we only ever practice running downhill, because it's like that adage of, you can't see the top, don't start running until you can see the top. So, yeah. So the weather's not going to bother me. It's the fact that it's going to be hilly.
Okay. Having said that, you've done Rockman, haven't you, a couple of times?
Oh yeah.
We've done it twice.
Rockman's not running. Rockman's not running.
We've done it twice, Mike. I mean, I think that's, you know, looking at events, you know, for people who are interested in getting into the sport or want to do more. I mean, there are some amazing venues, absolutely, and Rockman is one of those. It's probably the course where, however great you think the hype video looks, it's better in real life.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it is. Cool. It's a staggeringly beautiful environment. Really good course, and it is hard.
Pretty hard.
My God, it's hard. Yeah, so we've done it. We've done it both ways. We did 2018. Yeah, we did the course, and we did the journey home last year, which was basically the course in reverse.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, well, you can see the stats about the course, but that has weather as well. I mean, you know, this last year, the wind was so strong on one of the plateaus where they used to do a lot of mining. The sandblast was so great. We all had our goggles down to run into it. Yeah. I mean, actually, you couldn't. It was so windy, you couldn't run into the wind.
You had to literally try. Yeah, you couldn't run in. Yeah.
Covering your eyes. I mean, it's ferocious. Yeah.
Cool.
but very good.
But so beautiful. Yeah. So Rockman would be. I mean, I completely recommend that to anyone who's looking for a challenge. Yeah.
I mean, it goes to show. I mean, we are a bit more experienced now, because in our So 2018. So 2016 we did a couple of events. In 2017 we did UK events. And then in 2018 we did Engadin and Rockman in the same time. So had we have known how hard that would have been, we probably wouldn't have done that. But that's not to say not to do them, but maybe not do them in the same year, because Engadin was amazing as well.
Yeah.
But
I think they were 4 weeks apart. I mean, anyone who used the Gen 1 wetsuits, which were sold, or they had like 8 mil neoprene legs to improve your lift. I mean, I'm a pretty light frame, Mike. I mean, I used to get horrific DOMs. I mean, within the first few K of running, as the blood flow goes to your legs on those early suits, I'd start to get constriction in my quads, and doing Engadin and Rockman with those suits a month apart was a bit. That's quite a lot to take on.
It's a tough ask, isn't it?
Oh my word! Yeah, that was hard.
No. Well, I was looking at all the races you've done, and I was just trying to think which ones I've been at as well. And Isles of Scilly, I was there, 2016, and I did it with a colleague from Outward Bound back, and we were on paper. Dave was a faster swimmer than me, great swimmer on paper, and a good enough runner. So we were like thinking we're going to do well here. I'd had quite a bit of as much as you could have experience. I'd done a few races by then, and Dave, on the first, we went off, and Dave threw up on the first swim. We got halfway across, he stopped, and he vomited the first swim, and he was I don't know what had happened. He was a bit young. I don't know if it was the start was too fast or nutrition or whatever. Yeah. So I thought, oh, okay. So I led all the swims then for a while. And he was just hanging in. Fair play for him to carrying on, because he was ill, and he couldn't take any fluids on. He couldn't take anything on, and we just plodded through. And then, just over halfway, maybe 2/3 in, he said, "I'm back. Yeah, I'm okay. I'll lead." And the last swim was a long one, wasn't it? It was like a 2K or something. And he led it. I was glad he led it, because it was a tough one, and he was back. So that was great. And then we started to kind of do better. But it was memorable event. And then Coniston as well, 2017, when it was early October.
That was pretty hard.
I remember my sister looking out the window, and it was pretty cool and a bit damp. And anyway, it was good. Great course.
15
actually met you
in the middle.
Yeah, actually met you in Hydra last year for the first time, knowing so we had a chat. So that was good in Greece. You were the first. What was your title? Combined age over 110 first team.
I mean, one thing we love about swimrun is you don't have the tyranny of age groups.
Yeah, you just who you are, and that's it.
For people like us who are kind of in the twilight of doing this, I don't want to be beaten by someone else over 60 in a triathlon race. You feel the tension in an age group category that's 5 years. Now that's gone. That's gone in swimmer. So I know there's kind of obviously two schools of thought here, but I'm very much in the no age groups is better, because you can focus on it's us against the course.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can accept, of course, people are going to be going past you because they're 30, 40 years younger, maybe, and it makes for a much more pleasant experience for us anyway.
I agree, actually. Sorry, Christina.
I mean, so Coniston was quite interesting in that, with that big run in the middle. And two young lads came past us, and one of them patted me on the back and said, "Oh, you're doing so well." I just thought, it's not finished yet, is it? So anyhow, obviously they disappeared off. And And then there were still 2 quite hard swims, wasn't there?
Cold swims,
very
windy,
cold
yeah.
swims after that. And then, then we finished and we were sitting there eating whatever it was, and then these 2 lads came. They obviously finished, and they said, "Oh, how did you do?" And I just flashed my medal in front of them, like, I got in before you did.
Yeah. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Well done.
Yeah,
so I think there's moments like that where you have to sort of keep the faith that it is you against the course, and that what happens at the end, it will be, there's a reckoning at the end always. I sort of think, because we definitely are, good swimmers, and our running's probably fairly average, but on a long event, we really can keep going. We don't have the speed, but we definitely have the endurance. So I think that's always a good level, and it's always nice to beat someone who's about 40 years younger, and never mind 10. So
yeah.
But anyhow,
no age group.
No age groups here. Yeah. Much prefer that.
Yeah.
You're either a mixed team, men's team, or ladies team, and then that's it. And then whatever happens.
Yeah, I agree. I do like that fact, the no age group. I know some people think there should be age groups, but as a participant, I like just racing whoever's there. Whatever age they are. And as you say, especially with the endurance ones, it's the slightly older people normally slightly better. I had a moment of a similar, not a similar kind of thing at Coniston, where I was with my sister, and we had, a pool boy and a bungee, and we're going through I think it was a kissing gate or something, and two young lads said, "Oh, how's that working out?" Because it was a bit awkward, we're a pool boy, and how's that working out? Almost taking the piss, going, "Why have you got a pool boy and a bungee?" I said, "Oh, it's great," and we just flew off then, and away we go. But it was, I suppose, when people are, I guess, just starting out, you haven't got a clue about the gear, have you? And I keep saying to people, you learn so much on the race. So those guys and the young guys you saw, probably, who you beat, would have learned so much rather than just kind of procrastinating about things. Do a race and you'll just learn. That's how I see it.
For sure, Mike. And you we all started about the same time, and obviously the kit has changed. I mean, I talked about those early suits with those, DOM inducing legs. Yeah, was hard. You then see the evolution, though. You take those away and you get suits that are easier to run in, which is great. But you then think about the flotation you need, and that necessitates having a bigger pool buoy.
So in the earlier days, we just had one wetsuit, one pool buoy, one pair of shoes, one pair of socks, paddles. So small amount of kit, fit in a little bag, and now we have this array. So it often complicates things, because probably the only thing we don't tend to change is the shoes and the socks. But then we've got 3 different wetsuits to choose from, and you're like, so. And so I know it's a first world problem, which one shall I wear? But that is, so the dynamic has changed. So rather than just stick your kit in a bag and off you go, because that's all you've got. But it's great. It's great to have that, have that sort of choice. And also, you can do a race in a weekend, and then still be able to walk on the Monday to go to work, because that was the problem before, was that the DOM was so bad you could barely move, for like Monday and Tuesday, and I'm an agronomist. I have to walk for a living. I've got to walk fields, so I can't have a day off just because I've been racing. So that's great. So that recovery is so good.
What's an agronomist?
Yeah. I advise farmers on growing crops.
That's interesting. Sorry, I met someone in Uto who was advised farmers in North Wales on sheep farming.
Oh, right,
She was a
okay.
vet, but she's a specialised kind of sheep advisor.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah, no, we do have a few livestock farms here, but yes, it's important that on the Monday I can, go out and do my job, which you can do now. But with those old suits, it was just like so hard to.
So that is a tip for people wanting to get into it. It is a specific swim run suit is definitely more comfortable, and I think you'll have a better experience with a specific swim run suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think definitely for because the shorter 5K, 10K, you could probably get away with being a bit, just not buying any specialist kit, and just to start off, see if you like it, and then but as soon as you get longer distances, it really pays back, doesn't it? The like the arc suits, for example, or some similar.
Yeah. Having said that, the one exception I would make is we did the Torpedo Cape race, which is in Cape Town. And this is a ridiculous British accent, but I can remember looking at the pre-race photos about how they were dressing, and of course they primarily are wearing neoprene hoods. They're wearing long wetsuits and stuff. And I'm thinking, well, it must be because, they're used to a lot of hot weather and they can't handle the cold water. I mean, so we went with our normal little tiny arc suits. My God, when we got there, we go down to the first swim to practice and we speak to the lifeguards. And say, what's the water temperature? And he said, it's 6 degrees.
Oh, God.
It's 6 degrees. Are you going in that?
Yeah.
And we're like, this is all we've got.
So because I hadn't made the connection that there's nothing between South Africa and the Antarctic other than the ocean. So depending on the currents, it can be very cold. Now on the day it was not as bad. It was about 8 degrees, I think, on the day. Bad. But that's cold.
That is cold. How much swimming was there?
It's a fair bit.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. So it's quite a short sprint race. Would be 25% swimming. That is a brilliant race if you want to combine a holiday, and particularly if you like your swimming, because you've got big challenging surf waves to get out through. So some fantastic little kelp forest to engage, and the vistas. You're looking up at Table Mountain, and just wow.
Yeah, so it's like having a tour of all the apostles, the seven sisters, and it's like so I normally breathe to the left all the time, but the swims meant that you need all the views were on the right, so I actually was breathing to the right so I could see everything. So I just thought, this is so amazing.
Cool.
Although when we finished, we looked like we'd had facelifts, hadn't we? Because there was not a wrinkle on us. Because the water was so cold, it just like shrunk you. So it looked amazing. We looked amazing in the pictures at the end. But then about half an hour later, obviously the reality caught up with us, and we resumed our winky faces. So it was really, it's a really good event. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Definitely
does look good, that one. I didn't realise it was that cold. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah. Cool. Just
but the air temperature, air temperature is warm. So even though the water's cold, you soon warm up pretty quick. Yeah.
That's good.
That's very good.
That is good. That is good. We're not having this period of June in the UK has gone a little bit kind of cool, hasn't it? It's just think of the air temperature. But just touching on kit there with there's a lot. There's some folks, and obviously it depends what you want to do. But some folks don't use the pull buoy; they just go for calf guards. Yeah. What's your opinion on that?
Oh, we've never really done that. I never used to wear calf guards, but I've only really worn them once or twice, and they were very useful. They weren't useful for flotation, I didn't think. They were very useful for, like places like Var, where it was really, really sharp rocks, and that kind of protected your sort of calves. But like long socks do the same thing, and they're quite constricted when you're running. So I think the evolution of the pull boys has been so good that's not they're not really necessary. But if it was a very rocky thing and you felt you wanted a bit of extra protection, then a thinnish pair would have been would be better, I think. But
it's a good question, Mike. You know, I use them because we do a lot of training in the kit. Mm-hmm. So we will. I mean, you know, we mentioned off air that we live a few K from Jesus Green, which is 100-yard Lido. We can use. We're like 7K from a good lake you can swim in. So we often run. I mean, twice a week we would run to these events at these venues. And come back. And I will use calf guards very early season, so pre-race season, just to be warmer in the water. Mm-hmm. Okay. But I don't use them in a race because, honestly, you know, as Chrissy mentioned, once the blood flow comes in, I find them too uncomfortable. You know, so what works in terms of dimensions for swimming and warmth for me doesn't work when you start running.
Running any distance.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm, you know, we're a no for long distance for calf guards. Yeah. But we do wear long socks. You know, one thing, you know, some things that we haven't changed since quite early on. Goggles we haven't changed models, and long socks we came to quite early, and we consistently wear long socks. You know, it stops sand and other crap getting in your shoes. We've tried short socks, and you know, it's no fun having to stop. Get stuff out halfway through. So we do wear long socks, but not calf guards. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I find that they're a little bit uncomfortable to run in as well. I don't think I wore one because I had a slight calf niggle, so put one on that, and I think that did help. But generally, pull boy for me. But it got me thinking because Andrew Barber. He did his first swim run at Tallyclen swim run, and he just went with the calf guards, did very well. I think that was more to do with his training than his kit. You know, we always talk about kit and probably not enough about training. But I did wonder with Uto and maybe Gothenburg, how much you'd have to experiment more, or I would, with the speed in transition without the pull boy. But I still think it wouldn't be fast enough. It wouldn't be that much faster than the speed you gain on the swim with the pull boy. But that's what I love about swim run. There might be one course and one participant that calf guards work for. If they're, I don't know, a really good swimmer, great kick, great body position, doesn't affect their run, blah blah blah. You know, it might work well for them. But that's what's great.
Yeah, I mean, we do sort of try, different. I mean, I the Vivo Barefoots went back to wearing those and thought, well, okay, I won't need to wear my pull boy now because I can kick. And on 400 meters, I was like 20 seconds slower, you know, without having. But even though I was kicking, so I thought I'm swimming. Yeah. I am swimming. Put the pull boy in. Off you go, 20 seconds. So it doesn't seem to work for me to actually do my swim kick. But you're right. It could do for other folk. But
I think you're spot on, Mike. And Chrissy's a much better swimmer than me, so she's 25% quicker than me in the pool.
Right.
Emphasise in the pool.
In the pool, yeah.
In open water. Open water. Yeah. It's annoying that Bill. So Bill, I train in lane 1 with a tri-club, and Bill's in lane 3. And in open water, in lane 3 or 4, and in open water, so I'm about a minute quicker than him on 400 meters in a pool. But in open water, there's very little difference, which I find extremely annoying. Extremely annoying. But once he's kitted up, he's a pretty strong swimmer, and I'd have to try really hard to beat him, really, really hard.
Well, that's good.
So that's my 2-minute out there for anyone who's not a great swimmer. The pull boy is stick with it because it helps me create a more solid platform. Mm-hmm. And the massive difference I gain from it is, you know, if I came to swimming very late, so I did my first triathlon at 42, and it was a 300-meter pool swim, and I had to stop twice
right
during that. So I came in very late, and lots of the advice that you get from very good swimmers is quite difficult to enact if you come to the sport late. I mean, so one of the areas is I find in fully engaging your pull without the flotation, my legs are kind of starting to sink practically as soon as I get to catch, which makes a huge difference, obviously. You put a decent sized pull buoy in, Mike, and I am perfect body position. That means I can utilize absolutely the full catch, and the speed differential is massive.
Yeah.
So that's what Chrissy's really saying. I put a wetsuit on, that makes a big difference. Put a pull buoy and a wetsuit on, it's a huge difference. So, anyone out there who's not...
Add paddles.
Yeah, anyone out there who's not a great swimmer, please don't let that put you off swim run. Try the kit is a massive leveler. Yeah.
That is so true, definitely. And
it's all that horse riding, Bill. You got stiff ankles.
Yeah.
Are you a cowboy, Bill?
Well, no. I mean, I come to it, I guess, from a very unconventional background. So I liked horses and motorcycles. But I had a horrific bike accident like 40 years ago, and that kind of put the mockers on it a bit. So I was in hospital for 3 months with it, and I can still ride horses okay, but not quite as well. So it was enough legacy that it was impacting on that.
In his former life, he was a 3-day eventer, you see. So he was a proper horse rider from a youth. from a kid, basically.
But it's that's so anyway, you can't I can't ride with finesse. Let's say. That's the difference. But I can do stuff in a straight line.
Okay.
Which is great. So biking, running, swimming is fine. So I came in from an unconventional route, I guess. So there's another thing, for anyone out there with youngsters or who hasn't come from a sporting background themselves, if you've done different sports, the most important thing is to get out there and do stuff. Try different sports. It does not inhibit you from changing later in life to do something else, but it helps massively, obviously, to have been active when you're young. It gives you that base stamina and base strength, and
I mean, we had a big gap between when our children were young, we didn't do anything. I mean, we might have done the odd little run, little swim, but I mean, from when our daughter was born in 95 until 2016, we really didn't do very much at all. So we did really come into this very, very late. But when your time's occupied with, your kids do other things, then that's it. And then suddenly, the youngest was 18, and then we thought, right, okay, well, what can we do together?
We can start travelling and swim running, and
we started off doing bike rides, but of course that was a nightmare because I was so far behind Bill that it was just torturous. And he'd be saying, just get on my wheel. And I'd say to him, well, if I could get on your wheel, where do you think I would be? So cycling together was out the window. And so, we came to swim run that way, really, because I could, we could both swim and we could both run. And it seemed that, that's where we came from. So,
Yeah, I think as a couple, especially when it was only teams races of two, and the locations were so beautiful, and they still are. But I mean, as a couple traveling to Uto or Engadin or wherever, they're just you can make a really good holiday and have a really good experience, and so it's kind of
that is what we've done.
That's exactly it. Busted.
That's it. I can't imagine we would have ever gone to the Scilly Isles, to be honest.
No.
Right? And then, suddenly 2016, Chrissy spots this event in 220 magazine and says, we're going to do this. I go, all right, well, let's do it. I'd never swum more than 1,500 meters in my life.
Wow.
So it was a bit of a gamble, but we did practice, and and it was
Brilliant.
great. And the joy of just having carry-on type luggage, rocking up to these events, and it's just fantastic. It's really liberating, and you sign up. Anyone who's signed on for a swimrun, you really, doesn't matter what level it goes to, right up to the World Championship. You just go in there, sign your name, attend the briefing. That's it. No fannying around, fretting about your bike into transition, and it's and you dress it whatever you wear at the start to get to the start. That's what you're in at the finish. It's
and
liberating.
There's no special start for the very fast people. You're all bundled together, and you're all in the same mix at the start. You're all in the same mix at the finish. You all travel together there. You all eat at the end together. There's no hiving off elite athletes, and there's no pretension. It's so I don't know. It's such a great sort of atmosphere. To sort of feel you're part of the whole thing, as opposed to you're just taking part. You're in it.
Yeah, you're made to feel quite special, I think, and well, everyone is made to feel that way. And it was funny afterwards in Uso on Saturday, 2 girls from Stoke-on-Trent, first time swim runners, and they were telling me afterwards, we were sat next to this guy, and we just sat down, and he said, we said, have you done any of these before? He said, I've done a couple. And he asked how have you done any before? I had a quick, very nice chat. And then she pointed him out at the end of the race as we were sat down having a beer. And it was Adriel Young. Doing a couple. Amazing, they were impressed how nice and friendly the top, the fastest guys were. So that was nice to see as well. Still in the sport. So Bill and Chrissy, tell us about you guys do some kind of training, swim run, almost a swim run taste with Cambridge Triathlon Club, or something going on.
Our Sunset series.
So I think sometimes influence, sometimes press gang. We want to get people to at least try swim run. So we use a local lake to run a 3-event series. In the summer, that allows people the opportunity to try swim run within the Tri Club. So we call it the Sunset Series, and it has a swim race and an aquathlon race and a swim run race. So nobody's left out from the club, and you all start at the same time. And we engineer the courses such that you're looking to have the swimmers and the aquathon and the swim runners coming into the finish at roughly the same time. And it's super friendly. You've got stopwatch timing. It's just very, very simple format.
You turn up at 7, all finished at 8. Yeah. So there's no massive build up to it. You just rock up, get a number, do your event, and we are literally out of the place by 8 o'clock. So it's just an hour. So it's tries to cater for people who are working, and to say, well, okay, it's a quick session. It's a really good for everyone to get together, and it's worked pretty well.
So what we hope is that everyone doing the swim and the aquathon looks at how much fun the swim runners are having. Yeah. And then fancies that, It
is the concept, isn't it? Is that you've still got your shoes on. That thing where, you've got your shoes on and you're swimming, and now people don't think that's a sort of extraordinary thing to do now. Now they recognise that it's actually possible.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, Mike, is it within Cambridge Tri anyway, it does work, because we've managed to get a group between 12 was the first. We took took people to Finland in 2019 to Solvalla, which, I mean, the guys there, that is the friendliest race organisation we've ever experienced. So we took them to Finland, had a fantastic time there. We'd done that race before, so we knew the organisers. So. And we've done one of John Yellen's races. We did the Hokey Cokey with a slightly bigger group, probably 16 or 17. We did the EX last year. Again with about 16 from Cambridge group. Try.
Brilliant.
And we got 20 plus going to Studland.
Wow. Yeah, that's
so
work. That's well done.
It does work.
Yeah,
it does work. Yeah. Well, and yet, you know, I think we how many do we bring to you? We had half a dozen?
Seven, I think.
Seven. We had seven.
Yeah.
Seven came to do the eliminator. So,
two got to the final lap, I think. Was that?
Yeah. Robin
Connor.
That was. The anxiety for us watching was incredible. And again, that's the same thing, isn't it? So Rob was at the end, was at the back. Connor was well in front.
He's in his 20s and he's a very good runner and swimmer. Yeah.
And then for some bizarre reason, he veers off to the left on the final swim, and Rob catches him. So so that was everyone really they really enjoyed that. It was good, but it was very for us cheering, it was like, oh no, But anyway, they both brilliantly.
Yeah. Cool. So that's working. Good work on that. Spreading the word, and because it feels like people just need to see it in action firsthand, and then they go, "Oh, I get it. Oh, you can swim in your trainers. Oh, that's what the pull boy's for." That's
And for three of them coming with us, it'll be their first, their first swim run.
Okay.
So 18 or so have done local events before, but for three completely brand new.
I think I've got to say we are quite lucky in East Anglia that we have as keen as mustard based here.
They're ace.
So we can do our little thing within the Cambridge Tri Club, but then there is a race series as well that people can enter, and they do a fantastic job in making it accessible because they do a 5 and a 10 and a 21.
Yeah.
So we love it because we can do the 21s, and I don't know how they find these courses because we know the places they're at.
I know,
and somehow they make it more interesting than it is because we are a very flat part of the country. But lots of triathletes. I think probably 10K would be the most attractive for triathletes in the club.
Most of them,
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good distance to have in for people wanting to have a crack at it.
Yeah.
So we're very lucky that then people can do something with us and then go and do a branded event. That's a bit more glamorous. And hopefully then they'll think about doing something in a great location.
Yeah. Cool. So Studland Saturday. What else is on the agenda this year?
So Graffham will be next.
Graffham Keeners Mustard is the next one.
And then Gothenburg, and then we've got the Worlds in September.
Oh, brilliant. You're doing Worlds.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. So
you did that in 2021?
21, yeah.
How was it?
Yeah.
Well, it was...
it's 75k. My God. I mean, the spirit... how long it takes the ferry to go back up that course is a real eye-opener. When you're travelling back on the Tuesday, like going back to Stockholm. Oh, my God.
But, I mean that, doing the event in the end wasn't as stressful as trying to get there because obviously, we the UK was the plague nation. We weren't allowed to travel, were we? And eventually, so Sweden wouldn't let us in, but eventually we got in via Denmark. So we flew to Copenhagen first and then just trocked in on a local plane into Stockholm. Otherwise, you couldn't have flown. Well, actually, to be fair, Michael and Matt sent us a letter to say that these Bill and Chrissy Lankford they are competing in the world and we looked at each other and we went, they're not going to believe we're athletes doing this World Championship event, Bill. I'm not risking not getting in.
So we have saved the letter. So it's a beautifully crafted letter.
They're entitled to.
You can imagine, like we thought we'd get to airport security in Stockholm, and they would go, "You two doing a World Championship 75-kilometre swimmer race? You've got to be kidding." Yeah. So we did a more artful thing. I think we went into Denmark, and then because of the relationship between Denmark and Sweden, there's no security coming in from a Danish flight. So we just I tell you, the Swedish delegation, they were very pissed off when we left.
When we were leaving. How did you get here?
They looked at our passports. They were very unhappy.
Oh, God.
Anyway, stressful getting there, but obviously that's something to aspire to. I mean, it's
we never thought we'd be able to do it because it was just such a big thing. But again, you're doing the events, you kind of you recognise how capable you are. But you on paper you look at you think actually no, then we're not doing that. It's not possible. And actual fact, you shouldn't sort of second guess yourself. And having done Rockman,
I think that was the eye opener, wasn't it?
We just believed that we thought actually no, we can do this. Although we're very conscious of the cut-offs. The cut-offs are the first two cut-offs are so. I mean, we had to really, really motor to get those. Mm-hmm. So that was quite stressful at the beginning because, of course, it's so hard to go quickly because of the rocks and the shoreline, and so there was like this horrible amount of stress, thinking like we've got here, let's not blow it by, but so no. But it was good.
We both managed to slip up and pick up some injuries on the way, but
I think it's almost impossible not to, isn't it? Or that first section, like people just dropping all over the place.
Yeah, I mean that's we've touched on bits of kit. I mean, I find that in UK and anyway in most of Europe, pretty much any shoe that you like works for you. If it fits and you can spread your feet, it's going to work. There's, it's very different rock surfaces in Scandinavia, and once there's some water on them, they are unbelievably
so
slippery.
So
there are only very few shoes that work well on Scandinavian rocks. We find, and I elected not to wear one. I stuck with my my favoured shoes, and I did have quite a nasty slip, so I strained my hip flexor at Ireland or so before Orno. So I had a horrific Orno experience.
God,
running through that, going, oh my God, this hurts so much. Yeah, I think I must have muttered to myself, "Pain is temporary, quitting is forever." About 10,000 times trying to get through Orno.
He was also muttering that I can't go on. So I basically took this is the whole thing of the team thing, isn't it? So Bill normally leads most of the things, and I just took the tether, moved it round, and I just set off. And then when I felt the tension, being too great in the tether, then I just backed off a little bit, and then I kept going, and then felt the tension again, then backed off, and then we got through it. But that was kind of quite hard on you, wasn't it? I thought you were very brave.
Anyway, I had to get someone to take my bag up the stairs into the dormitory. I couldn't carry it.
Brilliant.
It's a bit grim. But that's obviously that's a qualification event, but someone can get a taster of that doing the final 15.
Yeah,
which is we did that the next year. I mean, and we did that and then marshalled on the world. So that's
cool.
That's quite a nice thing to do. I think the big shocker for us is that you've done the worlds, right? You get to the end, and those last few really scrappy little islands. Yeah, I must have been hallucinating. They look like mountains to me as we were finishing the worlds. And you do the final 15K,
and you think they're just normal rocks.
They're nothing.
What's wrong with us?
You're dancing over them, going.
Yeah.
So we did the Fun 15 game where I was sent to Bill. I said, where's the island with the massive rocks on? And he said, we're on it. And I was like, oh. so the illusion of like, I guess you're so tired at the end of the world things that it just seemed like you were kind of crawling up these big rocks. And of course the reality is that they were just normal size. But of course you're so tired.
Yeah.
You know. So that was really good. It was really good. It was really interesting marshalling. I really enjoyed that. Although they basically just you're on one of these ribs and they take you to this remote spot with a flag and a timer, and then they dump you on there, and then that's it, and you're there for like, I don't know, 6-7 hours, whatever it is. But it is. But then of course you realise how by the time we get to clamber out the swims and up the rocks while they're so slippy is because hundreds of feet before you have dragged all the water out. So for the first sort of 20 or 30 runners, the surface is great for them to run on because they're just literally out the water and the rocks are relatively dry. But by the time the tail enders come, it is, you know, so that was a real eye opener as well. It was like, that's why it's so wet.
And you also see how much they practice, Mike. So the front end, so let's say maybe the top 20 take very unique lines. They're all taking the same lines on the swims and exits. And then when the bulk of the group come through, it's just completely random.
Carnage.
Yeah,
you know, that's the first time they've experienced that transition, and you see them all over the place. But yeah, the front end.
So we're marshalling, directing them where they're supposed to go, where to run past the timer, and they're like having none of that. They're like, no way, you know, we don't, you know. So that, and I think, well, if you don't go through the timer, that's your problem. But anyway, you know, they obviously know the route, and they're just out, no messing, off they go, and it was great, and it was beautiful weather, wasn't it? In 22, it was so lovely.
Oh yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, the course record. 23. 2023 I did. But I remember the conditions 22. There was the course record, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, it was absolutely
stunning. Yeah.
Well, it's funny that. So the expectation was whatever the times were going to be, and then we were picked up, and we had to go to the finish because we were doing doping control. You see, so we landed, and then, you know, obviously the hill to go up. And then you could hear all these bells ringing and there's whistles blowing. And we're like, so we had to run up before Hugo and Max arrived, didn't we? Up the hill with all our kit on, to get to the top. And that because they were there like nearly a half hour or 3/4 of an hour before, and there was nobody at the finish.
So far there was
Michael wasn't there, Max wasn't there,
no reporter, no photographer.
Too early. I think Michael had gone to the toilet.
Possibly.
It
couldn't possibly be done that fast.
Nobody
you know?
was ready.
So drug testing, the doping. Did you were in charge of that on that?
So that's one of our assignments. Yes. So we had to take a mixed team, and then there was 2 fellas who did the men's team, and then 2 ladies who did the first ladies team, and then you had to just pick a random team after that.
So we were chaperones for that. So you had to lock on to the winners had to automatically go, and you had to just keep an eye. Stay
on
with them.
You know,
you
weren't allowed to do anything.
I didn't realise that was happening. Okay.
Yeah.
So was that a urine sample?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they weren't allowed to drink excessively. They weren't allowed to go to the loo. You had to stay with them.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, they were all pretty good about it. But then, you know, you had to pick a random team just whenever, you know, and it was Okay. But, you know, that's one of the things they were doing. So
that's the joy of coming towards the back of the pack. You don't have to. You probably don't get drug tested.
We have never been selected for drug testing, I can assure you.
No, that's right. Yeah.
No, me neither. But so what have you? So you've qualified for this year. Which ones did you do to qualify for this year?
So it was from Rockman last year. We qualified after doing Rock. Yeah.
Cool.
So
brilliant.
But yeah, so So for the focus is that, and we have to. So we started off our season with a lot more running. So we started doing half marathons and marathons in February and March. I mean, we wouldn't normally do that, but it was just to counter the Orno experience of the 21K in the middle of the race. Yeah. So we were hugely unprepared for that the first time. So we thought we needed to get some running legs. So we did a lot more running earlier in the season. So I think that's been pretty beneficial, hasn't it? So
that's good.
Yeah.
Right, I will be watching your tracker.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah. It's great coverage. The Othello media and videos and all the images. It's awesome, isn't it? And they do a great job on the YouTube stuff too. Really.
Yeah, we think we're good, and then you see the guys with the cameras, running backwards, chasing people who are doing like 350-minute Ks over rocks and stuff.
Yeah.
There is extraordinarily high quality sports coverage.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, that was the other thing about marshalling, wasn't it? It was that they just appeared from like nowhere to take these pictures, and then they do a great job. Yeah.
Okay, looking forward to seeing that, and I'll check you out on Studland, see how you get on, and although. Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll see what happens on the day. It's almost autumnal at the moment, but
yeah.
But we'll see.
I think that there's going to be course modifications is the plan because of the weather. So hopefully anyone wants to have a chat with us about events that we've done, or kit, or working as a team. Please come and find us and Studland, Grafham, Gothenburg. Yeah, very welcome to.
Although we've never done Gothenburg.
Yeah, don't ask us about Gothenburg. We haven't done it yet.
No, it looks great. I'm going to try and get there. It looks awesome. Yeah. Cool. Well, good luck at the weekend, guys, and thanks for coming on. I'll be up in Llanberis in North Wales. Love a swim run, and I'm probably going to wear my Uto suits as normal, but I'll probably just get cold and stick with it.
We do, Mike. I mean that's I think that is for us. That is the race suit.
Yeah,
it's brilliant, isn't it?
And it isn't super warm, but it's so flexible, so easy to swim and run in. I mean, if you're going to pick one suit, that will be the one for us. So that's what we'll wear on at Studland for sure.
Yeah. And guys, you can always, Bill and Christina know, but you can always add layers, can't you? Neoprene vests or thermal, this, that, and the other.
Yeah, I mean, we do wear a layer underneath anyway. Kangaroo, art kangaroo top, which is just brilliant for stuffing. You couldn't do the world champs without having a kangaroo top, because you've got to get like 20 odd gels about your person at some point. So so that's brilliant.
You're right. And 2 swim hats. That's the other thing. I mean, I quite often, find someone out there who's done triathlon that will have a cheaper, very lightweight swim hat somewhere, and they work really well under event hats. Give you a little bit more warmth.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. That's like that's the thing I've been developing. Just as you mentioned there, Christina, the nutrition carrying side of things with the world, because I didn't use a kangaroo top at the Worlds, and I had something similar from Head that I lent to Paul. Probably consumes a bit more calories than me because he's more of a machine. And I managed to stuff things about my person. I had a race belt, like an old tri and a few things. But I am experimenting with race nutrition carrying, which, don't worry, guys, it's not a biggie for most racers with the aid station and stuff. But sometimes it's definitely something to consider when you're doing the longer courses. And having that flexibility of not relying on the aid stations can be nice too. So
it Exactly, and depending on the country, you might not like what they have at that aid station.
Or you might not be used to it.
Yeah, or you're not used to it. So we do carry a fair bit of stuff ourselves. But I mean, I put gel down each sock. Put some in your vest, a couple in the suit. It's easier than it used to be, for sure. I mean, for the Worlds, we had so many gels. I mean, you're looking at a kilo on it. It was a kilo or so. I mean, I took some out purely because I cannot envisage carrying this much weight. Yeah. It's 12 hours you're out there for, so it helps to have a little bit of option. Rockman the same. I mean, actually, Rockman we ran out.
Rockman, you have to take your own stuff because they just physically can't take anything. It's just impossible for them to even have water.
Right.
You have to just drink out of the streams and things, and so you need to be self-sufficient then. But the preference as well is that it is when you can get access to real food, you want to be eating that because that is much better on your stomach than all the gels. But like you say, Mike, the nutrition thing is that you can't just rock up and have loads of gels. You've got to practice having those because you will become ill. And that's one thing we did at the very beginning was that we just practiced gels, bars, whatever. And so now we can basically do anything. We can hop and do quite long swims and quite long runs and not get stitched and stuff and things like that. But you got to practice that because that is that's hideous if you get a stitch, isn't it? So a bit of practice with nutrition. So
definitely. Lovely, thank you guys, and I hope might see you in Gothenburg, and and good luck.
Good,
cool. Thank you.
Brilliant.
It's a real pleasure, Mike. Nice to talk to you, and best of luck with your events, and we'll look forward to seeing you out there.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Christina. See you soon.
Cheers.
Bye now. Oh, that was a super chat with Bill and Chrissy. I could talk swim run for hours with those guys, and no doubt we'll have them back on the show sometime soon. Lots of experiences and knowledge to share. So it continues though. Experience continues on Saturday. If you're racing at Studland or Clanberis, enjoy it. Keep moving. Maybe put an extra layer on. It may feel warmer in the water this weekend than it does on land with that wind chill. But just enjoy it and keep going. I'm sure you'll have memorable experiences where it happens. That's it for now. So stay tuned for next week and spread the word, of course. Like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell all your trail running, open water, triathlon friends, people who haven't even done any, they don't even have to have come from a different sport. Look at Bill. It came from, 3-day eventing on a horse. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds different. So, come on, let's go. Swim run.